The gates opened at 9 in the morning, later than planned. But nobody outside those walls knew why. Not yet. Just hours before, in the dark of a Florida parking lot barely a mile from one of golf's most sacred venues, 2 people were dead. A suspect was on the run, and that suspect had made it onto the grounds of TPC Sawgrass itself, picked up a tour radio, walked among the staff, and vanished into the night. Police dogs tracked him through the rough, past the ropes, past the practice greens where the world's best golfers would warm up in just a few hours. By 8 in the morning, he was caught, cornered in the Georgia woods after a chase that crossed county lines. And by 8:15, the first tee shot of round 3 cracked into a cloudless Florida sky, as if nothing had happened, as if the world hadn't just held its breath. That's the strange, unsettling backdrop to what became one of the most stunning Sundays in Players' Championship history. Because sometimes, sport doesn't wait for the world to make sense. Sometimes, the greatest moments in golf arrive wrapped in chaos, shadow, and the kind of silence that only broken people learn to carry. This is what happened. This is the story of Cameron Young, TPC Sawgrass 2026, and the moment that remade a man. If you've ever watched someone wait longer than they should have to receive what was always theirs, drop a comment below and tell me who that person is. It might be you. And before we go any further, if stories like this are why you watch golf, and you're not subscribed yet, hit that button now. Every week, we bring you the moments the highlight reels miss. Cameron Young needed 94 starts on the PGA Tour to collect his first victory. ESPN read that again. 94. In that span, he collected 7 runner-up finishes, the most by any player on tour since 1983. ESPN 7 times he stood on the edge of history and watched it walk away with someone else. 7 times he shook the winner's hand, smiled the professional smile, said all the right things in all the right interviews, and drove home with nothing but the weight of almost. In any other sport, in any other life, a person breaks under that. They adjust their expectations downward. They rewrite the story of who they are. But Cameron Young is not built like other people. Quiet, stoic, almost unsettlingly calm on a golf course. A man who, when asked why he wasn't smiling more after one of the biggest wins of his career, simply said, "I think if you asked my wife, she would say he's a very, very happy person." He doesn't perform joy. He carries it somewhere deep, somewhere protected. And on Sunday the 15th of March, 2026, at TPC Sawgrass, that protected place finally cracked open. Young is a 28-year-old husband and father of 3 young children who happens to be one of the best golfers on the planet. Outkick his wife Kelsey, sons Henry and John, and a daughter named Vivian. All of them there at Sawgrass on Sunday. All of them watching from behind the ropes as their father, their husband, walked into the loudest, most unforgiving arena professional golf has to offer. Because TPC Sawgrass isn't just a golf course. It's a stage built to break people. The island green on the 17th is not a hole. It's a confession box. Step onto that tee and every thought in your mind becomes a shout. Every doubt you've ever whispered to yourself in the dark gets amplified by the roar of thousands of fans packed into stadium-style stands. There is nowhere to hide. And Cameron Young, who had spent his entire career hiding his emotions behind a mask of perfect professionalism, was about to be exposed to all of it. But to understand what Sunday meant, you have to understand what Saturday almost destroyed. Ludvig Aberg had entered Sunday with a 3-stroke lead. Golf Channel at 26 years old, the young Swede had been anointed as the next generational talent in golf. Graceful, powerful, composed far beyond his years. And for 3 rounds at Sawgrass, he had played like he deserved every word of the praise. 3 shots clear. The final pairing. The world watching. His moment. Then, on the back 9 of Sunday, something shifted. On the par 5 11th, with 267 yards to the green and a 7-wood in his hands, Aberg's approach wasn't good. He sliced it into the water on the right, leading to a bogey 6. ESPN, and then came the 12th. Another mistake. The lead evaporated hole by hole, stroke by stroke, in the suffocating Florida heat. A player who arrived at TPC Sawgrass as the story of the week was slowly becoming a cautionary tale instead. This is what Sawgrass does. This is why they call it the 5th major without ever making it official. It doesn't just test your golf. It tests your architecture, the internal structure that either holds you together or collapses under weight. And somewhere in the middle of that unraveling, Cameron Young was quietly, methodically, building something. Young made what might have been the worst swing of his entire final round on the par 5 16th, yanking his approach shot into a fairway bunker. Not only was he left with an awkward 65-yard bunker shot with water behind the green, but his ball was also plugged in the trap. Outkick, most professionals would have called that hole a write-off. Most would have played safe, accepted bogey, and recalculated. Cameron Young executed the bunker shot, got up and down, saved par, and kept moving. Here's what nobody talks about in these moments: the shots that keep you alive instead of the shots that win you the trophy. The quiet, grinding, unspectacular saves that stack up silently while the cameras are all pointed somewhere else. That bunker shot on 16 is the reason what happened next was even possible. Because when Young arrived at the 17th tee, the island green, the confessional, the hole that has ended more dreams than any other in professional golf, he didn't arrive desperate. He arrived ready. He stepped up and hit his tee shot inside 10 feet. Then he made the birdie putt to tie the lead. ESPN, the stadium erupted. It's so loud on 17. The way everything is raised, you just know all eyes are right there on you. So there's nowhere to hide, ESPN Young said afterward. He felt it. Every decibel, every pair of eyes. And he stepped into that void and delivered anyway. If you've ever had a moment in your own life where the pressure was everything and you had to choose, did you shrink or did you step forward? Because I think that's the real reason golf gets us. It shows us something we recognize. Then came the 18th, one of the hardest finishing holes on the PGA Tour. No margin for error. The kind of hole where the tournament doesn't just ask you to perform, it demands you perform, or it will punish you in front of everyone. Matt Fitzpatrick, who was paired ahead in the final group, made bogey on 18, dropping back to earn second place and a check for $2,225,000. Golf Channel. Now Cameron Young stood on the tee, knowing exactly what he needed. He turned to his caddy Kyle, one of his best friends, and they said something light, something almost funny, though Young admits he can't recall the words. Golf Monthly, we were just saying stuff to quiet our own minds, he explained. I could have stared at my feet walking all the way down the fairway, or we could have looked around and had a little bit of a laugh. I think in the moment, option 2 was a good call. Golf Monthly. He then launched a 375-yard drive into the center of the fairway, a day after hitting the same tee shot into the water. Outkick, 375 yards. Dead center. On the hardest finishing hole of the hardest week of his career. His thought process over that ball, in his own words: 1. Making sure I'm committed to my line. And 2. I'm going to hit the best shot of my life right here. ESPN. And he did. Cameron Young finished at 13 under 275, one stroke better than Fitzpatrick. Golf Channel. He took home a check for $4.5 million. Golf Channel from a total purse of $25 million, the richest non-major event in professional golf. But in the moments after the final putt dropped, after the scoreboard confirmed what his body already knew, Cameron Young didn't pump his fist. He didn't scream. He didn't perform. He barely cracked a smile, which is entirely, authentically him. Golf Monthly. And then his family came. His wife Kelsey, his sons Henry and John, his daughter Vivian, running across the 18th green toward a man who had been quietly carrying this dream for years. Yahoo Sports. I've dreamed of having that moment with them for a long time. Yahoo Sports. Young said at the press conference, his voice, for the first time all week, carrying the weight of something real. His kids, he noted with a quiet laugh, were more interested in the drone flying overhead than the trophy in his hands. Yahoo Sports. I think that's a really nice bit of perspective on a day like today, he said. That line right there. That's the man behind the mask. That's the father who spent 94 PGA Tour starts being good enough to win, but somehow not yet holding the trophy. And in that one sentence, he showed us more of himself than any fist pump ever could. If this kind of story moves you the way it moves me, if you believe that sport is really just a mirror for the human condition, then you already know this channel is for you. Subscribe, because we're not going to stop telling these stories. But the Players' Championship of 2026 wasn't only about one man's redemption. It was also a signal, a flare sent up into the sky by a sport in transition. Just days before the tournament began, PGA Tour CEO Brian Rowlap announced the tour would double its number of signature events, from 8 to 16, as early as next year. Jacksonville today, a promotion and relegation system. A restructured calendar. A tour that, after years of being defined by its war with LIV Golf, is now trying to rebuild itself on the strength of competition, merit, and marquee moments. Roll-up was direct. What you will have is a true meritocracy. When you watch any one of those tournaments, you'll know exactly what the stakes are. Jacksonville today. Meanwhile, Phil Mickelson, who had missed the first 4 events of the 2026 season due to an undisclosed family health matter, returned to LIV Golf in South Africa this week. Yard Barker Brooks Koepka's return to the PGA Tour is generating conversation. The world of professional golf in 2026 is not a settled place. It is a landscape in motion, full of players chasing relevance, tours chasing legitimacy, and fans simply trying to find the moments that matter. Cameron Young's win at TPC Sawgrass matters. Not because of the $4.5 million check, not because of the Golden Boy trophy, but because it proved, once again, that the PGA Tour still produces the kind of Sundays that stop you mid-scroll and make you lean toward your screen. The kind that remind you why you fell in love with this game. As Sky Sports' Ewan Murray put it, TPC Sawgrass is one of the finest stages in world golf, and the event will only continue to grow. Sky Sports, and he's right. Because what this course does to professional golfers, what it did to Ludvig Aberg, what it did to Matt Fitzpatrick, what it nearly did to Cameron Young, is not cruelty. It's revelation. It strips away everything performative and leaves only the truth of who you are when everything is on the line and the crowd is deafening and your hands are the only thing between you and the rest of your life. Cameron Young's hands held. For 94 starts, they held. And on the 15th of March, 2026, on an island green surrounded by water and noise and history, those hands finally pulled him through to the other side. His kids gave him a hug. His wife stood beside him. And somewhere in that pile of people on the 18th green, a very happy person, who just doesn't show it much on the outside, finally let himself feel it all. Yahoo Sports. That's the PGA Tour. That's why it matters. That's why we watch. If you found this story worth your time, and I genuinely hope you did, then this channel is your home for stories like it. Every major, every breakdown, every comeback, every moment the box score can't capture. Subscribe, and let's keep watching this together.